the novice license of 1960s and was meant, in the 50s for that matter, was meant by the FCC to introduce people into the amateur radio hobby without making them have all the requirements of a license, of a general license. That was what the purpose of the novice license was. And you had restricted privileges, and you usually went that route. I don't know of anybody that I can think of that did not go the novice route. I was trying to think back where I used to live up there in the backwater community, if there was anybody I knew in that day that didn't go the novice route and then shed the end call and then get the general license. But you see, what has happened, and I know you're not going to believe this, but what's really happened is the same justification for bringing people into the hobby that was foisted by some during the 1950s, and the FCC introduced the novice license, which was only good for 1 year before you could, pony up and get a real license. Now, the novice license is the permanent license, isn't it? Except that it's even worse because you don't have to learn the code. And all the answers on the test are given to you, And on the novice test, even back in 59, the answers weren't given to you. And you did have to copy the code at least at 5 words a minute. So don't disparage those of us that know better, seriously. You just don't know your radio history. And then, you're saying to Joe Italiano and myself, or you guys, you're just old men with that now begrudge we wonderful people the right to operate in your wonderful hobby. But what do you think would happen if the Marine Corps suddenly, I can imagine what happens on Paris Island when they start letting women come in and without qualification and, or letting flabby boys in to be Marines, and the drill instructors down there on Paris Island have to deal with all these fatsos. They got to lose weight. They don't. They can't even read a sentence, without stuttering. And so now the Marine Corps, these drill instructors have to turn into special education students. Well, teachers rather. They have to turn into special education teachers. So don't you think that the drill instructor, rightly or wrongly, having this forced down his or her throat by the administration, might get a little bit tedious about that? Because they're looking back at a time when there was pre-qualification to become a Marine, right? So now we get all these flabby boys, they can't even read, and we're supposed to, in 6 weeks, get them ready to be Marines? You've got to be kidding me. I'm just trying to draw you by analogy why Joe and I are a little bit, we don't know what's going on here. Now, I hope you'll take that in the spirit given, John, and just not, flubber-dub, a response, just pen off a response that it's all sour grapes. Well, anyway, that's okay. Let's not go down that road.